So everyone here is a consumer. We buy things on credit. So as a consumer, you got to understand your rights when you're going in transactions, dealing with credit, but also in contracts. So you got to know their side of the contract and your side of the contract as a consumer. What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode of the Family Roundtable podcast. And you know, I am your host, Markus Turner. So you know, y'all, we like to talk about a lot of different things in the family business. There's a lot of different structures that you need or different parts in a family business that you need. And one of the parts, and I like to put this in a pillar's perspective, I want to quote, what would the Rockefellers do? There's a bottom floor foundation that you need, and it's called guarding against uncertainty, okay? And in that guarding against uncertainty section, there are two things that you must have, and that is called credit and business credit. Personal credit and business credit, right? But we're going to talk about personal credit on this podcast, but not just personal credit. We're going to be emphasizing consumer law, okay? So I want to go ahead and introduce a very amazing person. This guy right here knows consumer law from the back of his hand, and this man has been killing the game. When you hear somebody that says they specialize in consumer law, so you know that this man is doing his great. He's impacting a lot of people. So I want to go ahead and introduce our guest, Robert. How you feeling, brother? You good?
I'm well. I can't complain. I do want to say I did like the introduction and what you're doing here just to give us a platform to be able to build family wealth. So my name is Robert Williams. I'm a consumer law expert. My business is King's Livelihood, LLC. You can find me on social media at Consumer Life Essentials.
And so I want to talk, a lot of people think that this is what I've learned, right? And I'm big in consumer law, right? So I want you to, I'm not going to like educate, I want you to do the educating, but I do know that there's a difference between deletion and removal, okay, right? So like removing is like you try to say, hey, I want you to remove this off my credit report. Okay, it's off my credit report, but it's not deleted off my file.
Pay.
Exactly. I still have to, it's not removed from my file. I still got to pay things. And even if things are deleted, there are some things, you know, that you still have to pay for, like that's unavoidable. You know what I'm saying? Right? But like the difference between removing and deleting is just deleting off the back end too.
When you're removing things off your report, you're not saying that you're not going to pay it. You just want to remove from effectively because 15 USC 1681, correct? One of the codes that tells you what's on your consumer report or what's excluded from your consumer report.
Right.
I'm going to pull it up because I don't want to misquote anything, but I just want everyone to be able to hear what your consumer report is. I'll read it verbatim for y'all. So if y'all were to go into Google and type in 15 USC 1681A, it's going to bring you to the Cornell law. You'll just tap on it, definition, rules, and construction. It says the term consumer report means any written, oral, or other communication of any information by a consumer reporting agency for the purpose of serving as a factor in establishing consumers' eligibility for credit or insurance to be used primarily for personal, family, or household purposes. B, when you get your job, employment purposes, or C, any other purpose authorized under Section 1681B of the title. If you click on this information, it will tell you step by step what is the definitions of this. And you'll be looking at it like, man, this is not what I learned growing up.
It's not, man. That's what I'm saying. The information that we've received is not the correct information. And I want you to, and I'm glad you said that because I believe 1681B talks about permissible purpose. Yes. Do you know what I'm saying? And so pretty much stating that you have to I have to have permission. Well, they have to have permission to report on my credit report.
Most indeed. They got to give you a written notification for you to be able to put this information, but also for them to even pull your consumer report.
Correct.
They got to have permissible purpose. And if you're not giving them permissible purpose, then that is illegal.
It's 100% illegal. And everyone has to be able to understand that. So can you break down, like, if we were to delete things off our credit report, we need to send it a letter. How do we set up how do we put law within our deletion letters?
So when you're writing letters, you want to incorporate what you're saying. So if you're having a conversation, let's just say I want to do a cease and desist letter, right? So for a cease and desist letter, you want to let them know that they do not have authorization to be able to keep this information on your consumer report because it's not supposed to be there in the first place.
Right.
Before I go into that, you got to understand what's included and what's excluded on your consumer report. So if we go back to 15 USC 1681, if we go to part 2, the exclusions,
Yep.
it says, except as provided in paragraph 3, the term consumer report does not include. What does not include mean to you?
That it doesn't include it.
Doesn't include it, so it's not supposed to be there.
Right.
So it says, Part A, subject to Section 1681(s)(3) of this title, any report. Just starts off saying any report. It doesn't specify the report. It just says any report containing information solely as to transactions
Yep.
and experiences between the consumer and the person making the report.
1,000%.
So what is a transaction to you?
A transaction is anything that is an exchange.
It's an exchange? Mm-hmm. So when I go to the car dealership and I signed the agreement for them to pull my credit, what does that do?
So when I sign, it's an exchange for them to be able to report on my credit report.
Report. What are they allowed to?
No. Absolutely not.
Yes, indeed. So why do we do this?
Ignorance.
No. So we don't have the information to get certain things removed, but I do.
So, said, but I do. I'm like,
a lot of consoles, letters that I use, I want to incorporate things like your name, who you're talking to, because you want to reach out to the person that made the report on you, not Experian, because they're only reporting the information that was given to them. So you got to reach out to the person, but you got to understand what the term personal.
Right.
To read it to everyone. Because when you think of person, what do you might think of?
A human being.
You didn't know.
Yeah, a human being.
A human being. But a person can mean multiple things. It could mean a corporation. It could mean a cooperative.
Yep.
It could be a government or governmental subdivision, or any other entity can mean a person. So all these different people are getting to transactions but report stuff to my consumer report, but they're not allowed to.
It's just crazy to me how people aren't aware how important it is. But I don't want to stop it. You said you were breaking down the letter, and we'll talk about that. But go ahead, continue.
So let's just say for a cease and desist letter, how you going to start it off is like, to whom it may concern. This notice is to inform you that you have unlawfully reported alleged debt to my consumer report. So you want to tell your story. You want to be able to let them know that you're aware of this information and that you're violating me. And this is my supporting facts to show you that we're violating. So you want to include the law. So under the new rule, Regulation F, which took effect November 30th, 2021, one timestamp everything just so that you could be able to go back and reference it.
Correct.
So you want to put the company's name in. Let's just say it's Capital One. They're reporting information on your consumer report that says you owe an alleged debt. But they sold the company to someone, they sold your debt to someone else.
Right.
So,
and then pay taxes on it.
And then pay taxes on it. So how many times should I pay this one person?
0.
So things that you want to let them know is you have violated the FDCPA 1006.30A. And it's the new rule by parking this alleged debt on my consumer reports. Cease and desist the reporting of this alleged debt immediately, or I will escalate this matter to taking legal action. So you want to make demands as well with these individuals,
right,
or these persons. Demand is you're showing them you know the information, but also you want them to be able to remove it. If not, you taking legal action. They don't want to deal with legal action because they know it's going to go above them to the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, or the CFPB's, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're getting hit with a bigger lawsuit than something they're supposed to owe you.
Exactly.
So when you're reaching out to them, you want to let them know you have no permissible purpose by law to contact third parties with my private or personal
information. Your offenses amount to aggravated identity theft pursuant to 18 U.S.C. 10, Section 10, 28(8). You have knowingly transferred, possessed, or used without lawful authority a means of identification of me.